Today, we are diving into a topic that could just transform the way you think about saving and growing your wealth. Picture this: traditional savings account, once seen as the safe haven for your hard earned money, is actually now barely keeping pace with inflation. But what if I told you there's an alternative, a hidden gem in the world of personal finance that offers safety, inflation protection, and tax advantages all rolled into one? That's right. In this episode, we are unraveling the mysterious world of I bonds. That's right. In this episode, we are going to go through this investment tool that could be your savings grace. Whether you're saving for emergencies, your child's education, or just planning for retirement, I bonds might just be the missing piece in your financial puzzle. So if you're looking to supercharge your savings strategies, stick around and unlock the power of I bonds as I show you how you can use them to take control of your financial future. Let's jump in.
Welcome to the Financial Mirror. Where future success is reflected in our knowledge of fixing the one thing we can control, ourselves.
Welcome to the Financial Mirror, and thanks for joining me today as we continue to work to improve the one thing that we can control, ourselves. Here at the Financial Mirror, it is not about the numbers and spreadsheets alone, but about transforming and educating you on money so that you can make smarter financial decisions. If this is the first time you are joining in, don't forget to hit subscribe on YouTube to be notified of all the new episodes as they release. If you are listening to this on a podcast platform of your choice, don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast. If you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leave a 5-star review and a written comment, as both go a long way in spreading this information with more and more listeners. So last week's episode was all about Nick Saban, Coach Nick Saban, legend from the University of Alabama. And if you want to go learn how to use Saban's success tips, what he taught on the football field, it was a good episode. It talked about how you can apply those to your personal finance. I'm not pushing you over there, but what I did want to say is, man, if you keep up with college football, you have seen an unraveling at the University of Alabama with players just mass exodus. Everyone's leaving. That has nothing to do with I bonds and what we're talking about today, unless by I bond you mean Isaiah Bond, who was a wide receiver at Alabama that decided to go to Texas. No reference other than that, I guess. I mean, that's actually pretty good. I actually didn't think there was any reference, but I came up with one pretty quickly, I guess. But this episode, if you missed the episode and you want to go watch it, feel free. This one's all about I bonds. I have been pushing I bonds for a while for people to really get as just another vehicle to save money into, right? Like you're putting money into probably your kid's 529. If you're saving for your kid's college, you're putting money into, investment accounts, retirement accounts. You're putting money on all these different vehicles. Potentially even built your emergency fund in a high yield savings or traditional savings account. Today, I want to talk about I bonds and how you can kind of look at them as another type of savings account. Practically, there's a few limitations. We're going to go over those today. But I want to give you ask you this question. Have you ever felt like your savings account, it was kind of this never ending battle with inflation? Or maybe you felt like your savings account, it looks like it's the same amount last year as it was this year and as it was 5 years ago. Like it doesn't look like it changes. Well, you're not alone. That's how everybody's traditional savings account looks nowadays. In today's financial landscape, the old trusty savings account that everyone used to serve as this like financial safety net. But now it's really more like a sinking ship. Like it's definitely not holding up the value of your money whatsoever. So In this episode, I want to kind of go through that. Like, what's some other avenues? I've talked about high yield savings accounts before, so I'm not going to get into those. High yield savings accounts still have their place, they're still great accounts. What I want to look at today is this financial tool that combines the stability of putting your money under your bed with the potential for some growth that absolutely just demolishes old traditional, rinky-dink savings accounts and just leaves them in the dust, right? These are I bonds. I've alluded to that before, alluded to it now. These are not just like this average investment account. You can look at it as an investment because it does take time to kind of grow and produce. But with I bonds, you're not just safeguarding your money from inflation, you're also opening up a whole nother world of places that you can put money and build on your financial future. So today I do want to dive into those. I want to show you how they just might be your savings grace and go through a couple of different things that they bring how they can bring value in your life. But it's not all rainbows and unicorns. Obviously, I do want to show you some of the not so great things about I bonds that you have to think about. They're not terrible. They don't make them bad investments. They're not even, I don't even want to say they're bad even. I might even be, bad myself saying that. They're just like, you need to know about it. You don't need to be caught off guard with these different rules and requirements that come with I bonds. So many of you have probably heard of I bonds, but you may not just understand them. So today, that's going to change. You're going to understand I bonds. You're going to understand how you can utilize them. And we'll get started with kind of walking through what they are and then going into kind of those couple little things you need to know about them, and then give you some use cases and how to get involved with them. Okay. So that's kind of how this is going to play out. So let's first start off with, what are I bonds? Well, simply put, they are these like U.S. Treasury savings bonds. They are completely designed to protect your investment from inflation. They are designed to shield your money from inflation. That's a big component of them. And I say that because their rates, the interest rates that they have, they vary with how the consumer price index fluctuates. So they are traditionally looked at as this like inflation hedge, because as CPI changes, so does the rates at which your I bonds are going to be paying out changes. So they are, by design, they're specifically meant to keep pace with inflation. So it kind of just means that your money is going to maintain or retain the purchasing power that it had when you put them in there, right? So if it was worth 100 back then, because of how the interest rates fluctuate, it's going to be worth 100 when you take it out. And so for some people that have a hard time thinking about that, you can go look up like what's the value of my dollar worth today. Think about like Granny saying that a Coke used to be 25 cents and now a Coke's $25 almost. That's kind of what that means. Like what 25 cents can get you today is not what 25 cents could get you 10 years ago even, right? So we don't even have to think about Granny's Coke, 75 years ago. But I don't even know if Coke was out 75 years ago. Anyways, that is kind of their point. The other piece of I bonds that I wanted to bring up was that there is some safety. There's this safety aspect that comes with them. And that's kind of one of those things that differ from savings accounts. I'm not saying savings accounts are not safe. They're just less safe, right? So I bonds come with this like ultimate security guarantee. They are backed by a full faith and credit of the U.S. government. And it does, like, that backing does make them one of the safest investments that you can make, right? It is probably as secure as your money can get. Like if a bank went under, your money in that savings account goes under with it. I know the bank is supposed to come out and think of like give you some of that FDIC insurance back. Should be how it goes. Should work like that, but not always. Not always does that happen. So what I'm saying is this: is that these are back full faith, probably one of the safest investments you can get. And the last thing I want to tell you about I bonds, just kind of like going through this big thing of what are they, is that they have these like they have a fixed and this like adjustable rate on an I bond. Your savings is really just an adjustable rate. Like it's not really a fixed rate at all. Like it's going to adjust as the bank would like it to. That's kind of goes to the second point, is that your I bonds are fully backed by government, and your savings accounts are going to be backed by the banks and credit unions, or even managed by the banks and credit unions. I bonds are not as liquid. We'll talk about that as in this next little segment. Savings accounts are very, very liquid. The liquidity of a savings account is extremely high. You can get that money out fairly quickly, fairly easily. So, what are kind of those downsides? What are those drawbacks? What are those things that you need to think about? Well, the biggest thing that you need to think about is when you purchase an I bond, there is a mandatory, not an optional, a mandatory, meaning this has to happen, but there is a 1-year holding period before you can actually redeem your I bond. So during your first year of ownership, you cannot redeem your I bond. That's why I said it's not liquid. You can't put the money in there and then 6 months from now be like, oh, I need that money. Let me get it out. Not happening, right? Cannot access your funds until the 1-year period has elapsed. In addition to that, if you decide to redeem your I bond before holding it at least 5 years, you will face a penalty in the form of forfeiting the last 3 months worth of interest earned. If this was a maxed out I bond, meaning that you put $10,000 in there and you had to forfeit 3 months of interest, I mean, you're looking at probably about $200 ish, right? $200 ish. So that's kind of the penalty that you face if you withdraw it before the 5-year mark. After the initial 1-year holding period and up to 5 years, you can redeem I bonds at any time without penalty, right? After the 5 years, you can redeem it anytime without penalty. However, it's kind of best to hold it for as long as you'd like. It's really meant as a long-term investment, and watch that thing fluctuate. It maintains with inflation, so it's a really good place to keep some money if it's something you're interested in, right? So you can buy up to $10,000 in an electronic version of I bonds. You can purchase an additional $5,000 utilizing your IRS tax refund, and that's a paper series I savings bond. So up to $15,000 a year. Hopefully all that makes sense, right? That is the big piece. The big piece is just that. Now, why am I telling you about these, right? Like, they're not liquid. They're, savings accounts, theoretically. And right now, high yield savings accounts are paying pretty good interest rates. Why would I want to put money into an I bond when my high yield is paying similar rates? Well, that's kind of what I wanted to discuss. I came up with some use cases, 4 use cases to be exact, to talk about like when would I want to put money in an I bond versus a savings account. So the first thing is an emergency fund. And here's what I think about when I think about emergency fund. For a fact that I bonds are traditionally going to pay higher rates than your high yield. Therefore, if you did a fully funded emergency fund, so here's what I recommend for a use case. Get a fully funded emergency fund in a highly liquid account, meaning 3 to 6 months worth of expenses in a high yield savings account. If that's not enough, or if you're self-employed, you can either put more into your high yield, or a use case for an I bond and say, 6 months, I want to do 6 months in my high yield, and I want to do another 3 months in a I bond. What I want you to remember is, going back to what I said before, you can only put $10,000. You can only buy up to $10,000 a year in your I bond, right? So you're only going to put 10,000. So I'm not sure what your emergency fund should be, but maybe you get a fully funded emergency fund and then you put this other 10,000 right to the side, so that if you maybe at the end of the year you could pull that out of your I bond and put it back in your savings if you had to dip into the savings at any point, and that could be like your little like refund to your high yield savings account for your emergency fund. Not sure how you want to structure that, but what I'm saying is it's a great opportunity to put some money away that you can't touch. It's impossible to touch it, right? It's like giving it to somebody else. Say, hold this for me. But it's great because there's great returns on it. Okay. So that's the first thing, is your emergency fund. Utilizes it as like this like extension to your emergency fund. Another thing you can use it for is college savings. So you put some money into your 529. Maybe you want to put something that's a little bit more secure. You want to put high growth on your 529 for your children, but you want to do something a little bit more secure that's still going to grow. Go for an I bond. There are some tax benefits when you utilize the money in the I bond for educational purposes. So I bonds, by pure nature, they don't have state and local income tax. They are subject to a federal income tax. So, however, if you'll use that money, there are rules, stipulations, regulations. So go to the TreasuryDirect and look up what the current rules and regulations on this. But if you use the money under certain conditions to pay for higher education costs, you could offset that federal tax on that interest earned as well. So just something to look into, something that could be beneficial. Use that as like this, like more of a safe haven for that college savings, in addition to the 529. Your 529 is going to grow more, probably going to be invested a little bit better over time. It's going to definitely grow more than your I bond would. However, still a great spot to put money so that you can have it a little bit safer, a little bit more consistent in its returns, but you're not losing along the way. So just another good little spot. The third use case that I came up with is retirement planning, and that's specifically for people that are looking at something that they want to hold on to that has consistent growth, and especially when you get later into your years, there's a great place to put money. So if you have a really good retirement account and you just want to put you're getting a little later in life, and you just don't think you don't have that much more time for it to grow, diversify. Put that into an I bond. Go ahead and put some money into an I bond, and go that route for trying to just build up that extra cash. Let it grow a little bit along the way. And that last piece is just wealth diversification. Last use case. They're low risk. They protect against inflation. So your $100 is normally going to be worth $100, around about that over time. There are tax advantages that make you exempt from state and local taxes on the interest earned, and they're liquid after 1 year, right? So they're pretty stable, pretty awesome investments. If you've got a little bit of extra money sitting around and you just want to make some extra cash on it, throw it into an I bond, right? Throw it into an I bond. So you can see that they are extremely beneficial. And it's one of those things that you just have to jump into to see that this is something that is valuable. So I'm here to tell you that if this is something that you want to get started with, if you're like, tell me more, like I want to know more, I want to show you how you can go through and get started and get involved by buying I bonds. So let's jump into the website, show you how to get there, and then kind of walk you through the steps to setting up an account and purchasing an I bond. So when you first head into the website, you're going to notice that this website looks slightly outdated, looks fake. You're probably like, wow, this is a government website. I don't believe you. You are trying to hack my bank account. I'm telling you right now, this is how it's always looked. So you head over to treasurydirect.gov. All the instructions for this are in the show notes for the podcast, for the video. So feel free to head over there and actually walk through this. The first thing you can notice right here on the homepage is that TreasuryDirect. You can scroll down and you can see what today's rates are. So the Series I savings bond is the bond that I'm talking about today. So right now, as of January the 20th, it is a 5.27%. That is for all bonds issued from November the 1st to April the 30th. So that rate will stay the same until April the 30th. But this is what it is. This is where you're looking. You're saying, this is what I want. I want a Series I savings bond. So if you wanted to set up your account, you just simply come up to the top and there's a button right here that says open a new account. So you'd click open a new account. It's going to bring you over, and down at the bottom of the screen, you would hit apply now. You would go through and say, is this an individual account or entity account? More than likely, talking to most of my clients, it's going to be an individual account. So you hit individual and hit submit, and then go through and fill out all of your information, right? Just go ahead and fill out all of your information. And once you scroll down and you hit submit at the bottom of the screen, you would be able to go in and purchase your savings bond, right? Your Series I savings bond, right? And that's all it takes. That's all it takes. And you are on your way to being able to purchase a savings bond. Remember, this has to be something that you hold on to for at least a year, but it'll grow. It'll grow and keep up with inflation and continue to bring you some value to those hard-earned dollars inside of that account. Very, very important. Very, very important that you maintain and you put, diversify a little bit, put money in various places. Super, super important. On their website, they have tons of, under the laws and regulations, they have tons of information about the whole entire savings bond regulations to say, this is what I need to know about Series I. So offering of Series I, terms and conditions for Series I, some further reading about all these things. Their website will give you a lot of the answers to maybe the educational purposes questions, maybe when you're thinking about how to best set these up. All those type of things are going to be found in their laws and regulations sections. They also have the help center that can help you with setting up your account, logging in, going in and changing ownership, redeeming your bonds, all of these things. Everything that you need to know, you will be able to find here. Savings bonds, FAQs, tons of things in their website that you can utilize to, how can I buy a savings bond? Look at there. Two ways. We kind of talked about these, but the paper bond, the electronic bond. So anyways, all these things are here, and something that you can go look at TreasuryDirect.gov, and you can find the information you need. So I hope you found value in kind of looking through that, looking through how savings bonds can help you, going through how to purchase those, knowing that the annual purchase limit is $10,000, the most you can put in there in a year, unless you do the extra $5,000 from your IRS tax refund. But all of these things are added benefits when you're thinking about other ways that you can invest your money. Traditional savings accounts are trash. I mean, for lack of better terms, I don't know why anyone would be currently using a traditional savings account. With high yield savings accounts out there paying so much more in interest, I am not sure why, if you still have a traditional savings account, that has not been shifted. Now, I gave you some use cases. I gave you some ways and some reasons why maybe an I bond is a great option as a supplemental to your high yield savings. Definitely not telling you to put your emergency fund in an I bond. That's not what I'm telling you to do. But what I am telling you to do is to think about ways that you can maybe incorporate the I bond into your savings strategy. If that means you have a fully funded emergency fund and you just want to save a little extra this year, buy $10,000, buy $5,000 worth of I bond. Put the money there, let it grow, and continue to let that build. Continue to let that just build, and let it sit there for 5 years, right? Some pretty good returns. There's some pretty good returns when we do that. So think about that. Think about ways that you may be able to make this advantageous to you. But all in all, it's just another vehicle to put your money in. So that's all I've got for you today. Hopefully you took something away from this. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about I-bonds, a little bit more about how you can use them, and really try to incorporate those into your personal finance strategy. Now, if you are struggling with kind of how to incorporate this, maybe you're struggling with savings or paying off debt, or even get to the point where you can stop living paycheck to paycheck, and you just are ready to take control of your finances and make sure you're on the right path, I can build your plan for you, help you build your plan, like whatever the case is for you, whatever's beneficial to you. I do work as a financial coach, so it could be just what you need to get you started on the path, back on the path, whatever that case is for you. Head over to thefinancialmirror.org. Hit book now in the middle of the screen. Schedule your free consultation today. It's just a chance for us to sit down, talk through what's your situation, maybe how I could help, and then put a package together that'll work for you. If you do want to give extra dose of support to stream, head over to thefinancialmirror.org/shop. Pick you up some awesome Financial Mirror gear. Truly appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this episode. If you are listening to this on a podcast platform of your choice, don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review. And a written comment as both go a long way in getting this information out to more and more listeners. Hopefully you took something away from this. Hopefully you are able to put this I-bond directly into your portfolio, start utilizing it just to save a little bit of extra cash each year. Till next week, continue improving the one thing you can control, yourself. Peace.
Well, that wraps up today's Financial Mirror. Join us next week as we continue to work on ourselves, change our mentality, and to commit to achieving the success we always envisioned. Regardless of your platform, help us grow as a community. Please like, subscribe, and share with the people in your lives.